Hi, everybody. Um, so I want to tell people about Convex, but I already did that a couple days ago. So you can go watch that talk once it's up. But I'm going to pitch you a bit on Convex, right? This backend as a service that I think is a great thing to use for kind of almost any web development. It's a simpler way to build applications. But there are some things that are different about it. So today the exercises are going to be, let's try to use Convex to modify an existing chat app. We have a variety of features. I might add more as we go. So yeah, I'm sharing my screen. Down here we've got, hey, here are 7 things you could do with this. And I'm probably going to add some more. So I think it's unlikely that, well, not unlikely, you could totally do it, but there'll be a little bit of pick your favorites, right? You'll be able to say, okay, I'm interested in how to do this piece and this piece and this piece. But first, so what more important than the things I'm saying right now would be doing these initial steps. Clone the repo. And so there's this, let's see, where's our repo? Right here, this GitHub Frontend Nation React exercise, Tom Ballinger. By the way, it says React here. We're using React for this. Convex works with a variety of front-end frameworks, including Svelte and Vue. And if you're interested in that, this is the wrong talk, but we've got those here. Let's look for Vue. And it's like, great, here's how to do it. Here's this community library you can go read about. Here's the quick start. Or you're wanting to do, here, we don't have to search. We could look here at quick starts. Svelte. Yeah. So, and a lot of the exercises we're going to do today are the same for all of these because we're mostly writing backend code, but we'll be integrating it with our application. So there'll be some front end stuff. So some React specific stuff. So the thing that you ought to be doing now is finding this repo here and cloning it. So I'm just going to demo all these steps. I'll try to go a little slow because there's all other difference in different situations with this. You could clone this one too. Either of these work. I'm copying this. I'm, let's see, bumping up my font size here a bit so we can all see this. And I'm going to git clone this repo. I was just pasted from here. I'm not sure where you can find this link. I don't know what you have access to, but it's this here. Hopefully I don't know if people have access to this page here. But I'll leave that on screen for a sec. Frontend Nation, React Tom Ballinger. Let me confirm it's public so everyone can get to it. Yeah, looks like it is. During this whole sessions, right? We've got almost 2 hours, right? Feel free to ask questions that I will not be checking all the time, but I will be checking somewhat in Discord. Here's my little Discord thing on another screen. I'll be trying to check it. I have it open on another monitor, but it'll not always be open. I mean, I won't always be directly looking at it. But it'd be helpful to get a sense of where folks are, what people are stuck on, and whether you've completed some of the steps for this initial part. Okay, so step 1 is let's clone that repo. I haven't actually done it yet. Hit enter. Great. Okay. What was it called again? React exercise. Great. And once you're in here, first thing to do, right? This is a JavaScript project, so we need to npm install. Right. And once we've done that, I guess these instructions aren't here. They are, it says follow the 2 run instructions. And if we go look at those, they say, all right, that's just short for npm install, and npm run dev. Now, this step will take you a little bit because you need to sign up for a Convex account as part of this step. I already have a Convex account. Maybe you followed the prerequisites and you've already got one too. npm run dev. So you're going to have some steps that I will not have here. So let me know if you have any issues getting this part set up. But when I run it, we say, do you want to, so you'll have new steps in front of this part here where you might need to sign up for a Convex account. and save credentials locally to your computer so you can run these Convex commands. I'm going to create a new project. And if you're not on multiple teams, you won't have this display. I'm going to do it on my own personal team here. That is a perfectly good name for it. So just hit enter. Creating. Stuff's happening. All right. And it just opens this up in a browser. And this is a app that we already have running here. Cool. Look at that, folks doing messages. These are not real people. We'll look at this in a little bit, but and this is not in a public internet address. So you can't join this and participate in my chat, but you can say, hi there. Apparently, my name is Helen, just because it says that up here, because for this example, we're kind of not thinking about re-authentication and just having these little user accounts. My name is Helen. Hit enter. That'll show up here. And then also, I could have another one. Oops. And we'll see, as advertised, Convex is very live. I'm Willa. Leela? Willa. Okay, get these live syncing. As a later step, we can deploy this for Cell so you can see it live, but the exercises we're going to do today are more about like how to do these things in the back end. And then if you decide it's an app you do want to go forward with, totally do all these steps. These steps for how to actually deploy this are here. Look for deploy. Deploying your app to production. Great, this stuff. It's not bad, but it takes a couple minutes. Okay, so we have our app here. Let's look. We better explore the code some, because I'm about to set you loose. I mean, we'll take some time, but in, say, about 20 minutes, I'm just going to set you loose on some of these. So what do we need to learn about Convex in order to do this? We'll look at some of the code in a minute. Let's start with in Convex. So the idea of Convex is, let's get a... The idea is it's going to be this. Yeah. The idea is, okay, we've got, making sure this shows up. Yeah. We've got a variety of web application architectures shown here. Now, are you going to do a fetch from your browser and hit a BFF's like backend server for the front end? That's what it is, backend for front end. And if you do that and you have multiple fetches, maybe it takes less time. If you're doing an edge function, but you have to do multiple requests, it takes a little more time. If you're doing round trips from your client all the way to the database, it takes even more time. But what if you take your backend application and you stick it inside the database? That's what Convex is. In order to do that, so you could call these, what would you call them? Stored procedures, right? Convex is the ultimate stored procedure platform, but we don't like that word too much because that makes everybody think SQL, and we get to write JavaScript, but the JavaScript runs inside the database. And there are some changes we need to make to the way we write applications if we're going to do that. Where's my... It's not important. I posted a meme. You don't need to see it. And what we have to do with that is think about our server code and break it up into pieces. Some pieces are called queries, and that's when we're reading database data from the database. Some are called mutations. That's when we're reading or writing from and to the database. And some are actions, and that's where we just do whatever. We can do network requests. We can go fetch. We can hit APIs, and we can, from that action, run queries and mutations. But we have to, when we write the code, decide which of these situations are we in right now, which kind, because queries are special because you can subscribe to them. In our app, we can see a live update. So looking at this app here, somewhere, since it's React, there's probably a use query hook, which is a hook from Convex that says, I want you to give me a live view of this data, and every time it changes, this component will re-render. But some things are mutations, and those are the things that you can't subscribe to. You can just run them. That's usually what happens when you press a button. And we have to, it's not just post and get like some other, like an HTTP system. We actually have to make choices, basically that choice, but even more of them, where we very specifically say, no, this is a thing I can listen on. This is something that's subscribable. It's a query, or this is something that changes the database. It's a mutation. Let's check some of those assumptions. I guess let's use VS Code today. Folks are familiar with that, except for me. I need to practice with it. So I'm going to type code dot to open this project in VS Code. Here we go. So there are two parts of this directory tree structure that I'm especially interested in. One is the front end, which is going to be here in source. And the other is the back end, which is here in Convex. Let's start with the front end, so that'll look familiar. I claimed there would be a use query somewhere here in this app. Reading through a bit, here we are. Great. There's something called, there's use query, and we're calling it on api.messages.list. And we could now jump to definition there to find out what this query is. And now we're inside that Convex folder. And here we've got a query. And what it is doing is reading from the database, it looks like, grabbing the, what is this? If we're in order descending, the natural order of these is the creation time. So if we are trying to get them descending, then that would be the smaller ones at the top. We're going to take the first 100 that we can get, and then we would actually like the newest ones that, wait, does this make sense? So if you've got a bunch of messages, so now I kind of want to look at the messages because I'm trying to figure out exactly which order we're returning these in. Even though there's a comment here, feels like I trust the comment, but I want to check. Next thing we can do is back here in our terminal, I'm going to type, or you could do this in VS Code too. I should demo it in VS Code. What is it in VS Code? Control tilde, right? Yeah, great. You can say npx convex dashboard. And when we do that, we get to see the back end of our application in the default browser. Great. Where's that going to happen? Here it is. Great. And I'm looking at the messages table. It's my only table. I've got all of these messages. When I was back over here, the I'm Lila was at the bottom of our display. Here it's the top because we're sorting by this creation time where we want the late. Here we want the most recent ones at the top. But when I request it, it's gonna be I'm querying the messages table. I like to order it by descending. So the first one will be the biggest number. Okay, great. So I'm going to oldest first. So I'm taking the oldest 100 messages with the, well, right? Yeah, I guess the oldest 100 messages. And then, oh, sure. Should we give people the, let's see. So I'm going to give folks the exercise soon. I just want us to look through a little bit more code here. I'm let's see, but I'm not quite ready to turn people loose yet. I need to. I want to just look at a little more code here before we just jump into the exercise. we're trying to figure out how, right, this is working. Okay, let's skip it for now. Hop back, and then we see, okay, back in our code, that's where we were using this query. And then these messages are used to render, it looks like messages.map. And for each one, we're using article, I guess, as our HTML element for each one of these. And we have a message and an author. And then we hop back into here where we see this app. And now you've kind of seen the pieces, right? There's front end and back end. This is our back end here. This is the front end in this source directory. This is the back end in this Convex directory. And most of it's here in this messages. So let's look at the very first exercise. It's, oh, sorry. One of them is like, we have to think about these. Well, let's save that for a bit. Let's look at our first exercise. How would you replace colon, open, like close paren, with a smiley emoji in chat messages? Do we have any of those? Yeah, there's this thing right here, right? So is that when we're reading data, or is that when we're writing data? It could be either, right? When someone writes in a message, we could turn that sideways smiley into a smiley emoji. Or when we render the data, we could display it. Or we could do it on the front end. On the front end, we could say, oh, I see a colon close paren. I'm going to modify that there. Doing it on the front end would look like, all right, each of these messages, let's, well, after we reverse them, let's map over those messages. Message dot, we'll have to rebuild that message object and have that thing modified. So something like this. Great, but I want you to replace the body field with message.body.replace. If you ever have one of these, replace it with, where do I get an emoji? I forget the Mac shortcuts, Command Shift, Command Control. There it is. With this thing, it's not even the right one, is it? Great. So I just saved the code. If I now go back and look at my app, there it is. I see this smiley thing. So that'd be how to do it on the client. That's not really the answer I was looking for, though. I was thinking, let's do it on the server. So replace what we had here before and hop over to our server code, which we could get to by, oh, sorry, this is the server code. This is doing it on the server, sorry. But we could do it on the client instead, and that would look like over here in app, we also have a message we could call replace on this message.body, right? Either one of those. Those are the kinds of changes we want to make to this. Next one is, how would you impose a character limit? Well, should we do that in the write path or the read path? So I'm going to stop there. I don't want to give any more hints. This is kind of, I'm just showing how to edit this code, right? How to find the code in the code base we'll be working with. And now you have numbers 2, 3, 4, 5. Oops, let's not have the 5 that I didn't finish typing. And for some of these, there are very detailed explanations of how to do this in this Convex tour. So I guess that's the thing to, I mean, if you're stuck, go for it. But that's the thing not to read somewhat if you're trying to guess. For me, it is, I love this structure. It is hard to get me to care about, a solution until I've been stumped, or like information until I've been stumped. So I would just go for it, right? Start trying to edit this code. And then as you have questions, I'm going to be able in Discord, you can reference this material. And I think it would be reasonable. You could potentially get all the way through. Near the end, it gets a little tricky. But it's also the really realistic stuff. So I think you've got a shot at doing this. We're 30 minutes in. 45 minutes would be from now to, well, everyone's in different time zones. In 45 minutes, let's come back together. And maybe there's, I get help with this part. But I'm just going to disappear. But don't worry, I'm still here. I'm in Discord. Happy to answer any questions that come up. you've seen the basics, which is that, look, when you change code here, save, everything updates live. So you've got a nice debugging cycle, right? You'll be able, a nice iteration cycle. Let's find our app. Where did it go? There we go. Exclamation marks everywhere. Got it. So everything's live editing. So I think you're set. I think go for it. I'm going to wait until maybe someone from Frontend Nation helps out with making me disappear from the stage. But I think go for it. And be in touch in Discord. Would love to help answer questions.